Let's talk about demand, one of the basics to allocate the resources in economics. Let's understand this with a very simple example. I have a Christmas celebration in my school. I'm planning to get some Christmas trees, but for this, what happens here is a demand. I'll have to see whether there is a supply which is able to supply me the Christmas trees. Now, let's understand this very simply. My budget is $100. For this $100, if I'm able to get one Christmas tree, what would happen is I will procure just one of that. So my demand here remains one. But in case the price of this Christmas tree declines and I'm able to procure one Christmas tree with $50, what would happen? I'll have two Christmas trees for my school. And that's as simple as that. Whenever you have the price that declines, the quantity demanded increases, and therefore, in a demand analysis, we have a negatively sloping curve. With the decline in the price, you would have the quantity demanded that would increase. And what is all about this demand? It's simply my willingness or my ability to pay for any good or services. So, two things very important. I'm looking to procure the Christmas tree, and the second is I'm able to pay for the Christmas tree. Besides the price, what all are other factors that affect it? So, whenever we talk about a demand supply curve like this, what we understand is we are trying to consider only two things. All other things remain constant, and that is just the price and the quantity. Now, let's say I want to move some or I want to bring in a change to the other scenarios. It could be substitute. So, what would happen in case of substitutes? Let's say I am in a habit of drinking coffee, but the prices of the coffee go sharply up. So, what I could do is I could simply substitute myself to a cup of tea, which is relatively cheaper. So those are substitutes. If the price of one commodity goes up, there is a tendency to shift towards another commodity. On the other hand, when we are talking about complements, these are the commodities which go hand in hand. So what does that mean? Tea and sugar. So if the price of the tea goes up, or the consumption of the tea goes up, definitely my consumption of the sugar would go up irrespective of the price. So whatsoever the price would be, I would be consuming more of tea. And if I'm consuming more of tea, what would happen? Even if the sugar is expensive, I might reduce it a little, but the consumption would go up. So those are complements. Other things which affect the demand is advertisements. Definitely a lot of hoardings around, and they are there to put a subtle influence on your mind and persuade you to purchase that commodity. It could be a different story that you can regret later on, but that is one way where you influence the demand. The next factor that influences the demand is the government policies. So if there are strict rules and regulations, the demand could decline. But if the rules and regulations are easier, it's simpler to trade, the demand could rise. Income is another important criteria. With more of income, definitely the ability to pay, as we discussed, increases. So you have more of demand that could be seen in. Next important criteria is habit or fashion. So that's talking about your willingness. And there is where you are trying to bring in the idea whether you are trying to buy a specific good or not buy a specific good. For example, if we take an example of China, you have a lot of French goods which are highly popular in Chinese market. So it could be considered as a fashion product in that market. Again, when we are taking any example, if we are taking other things constant as we discussed previously, there would be a direct relation between the change in the price scenario that is seen which would inversely affect the demand. So if the price declines, your quantity demanded would increase, and therefore we say there is an inverse relation between the quantity and the price in a demand analysis. Other things remaining constant, if there is a change in any other factor besides the price and the quantity, let's say income. If my income increases, this whole curve would shift towards its right. That means when my income has increased, now there is a chance that you could be able to buy more of the quantity or the commodity that you are looking for. So, contraction and expansion of demand is very, very important to understand. So, when you have a price that increases in the market, what would happen? Let's take a simple example. I have 10 students with me. I am willing to give each of them one chocolate which cost me $1. And so, I have 10 students. I can give all 10 of them chocolates which are $1 each. Now consider a scenario that I have a chocolate that comes with $10. There is a price rise. So there is a contraction in the demand. Rather than giving all the 10 students chocolates, what I would do is I would choose one of the best students on whatsoever criteria that is there and give the child the chocolate. So my quantity has declined from 10 to 1 because the price has increased from 1 to 10. And that's a very simple example to understand the contraction of demand. The reverse goes true with the extension of demand. So initially, let's consider if the chocolate was $10, I was able to give it to only one child, but the price has declined. It's $1 now. So I can give to all of the 10 children that are there. Again, as we said, the demand curve would shift only and only when you have any other factor that comes into play. So we took a simple example of rising income. With the rising income, you would have a change in the demand curve that would be witnessed. The next is supply. Willingness to produce at a given point. Price is what is supply. So my idea as a manufacturer here is to produce a good at a minimum price so that it's competitive in the international markets or at least the national market. What would happen when the price of the product is increasing in the market? My supply would tend to be increasing because there is a higher demand that is witnessed, and when the demand is more, I would be willing to supply more. As simple as that. However, on the other hand, if there is lesser demand, what would we do? We as a manufacturer would cut down our cost and would cut down our productions as well. So what is very, very important under a supply phenomena is understanding that the new firms would be able to join the market if higher prices allow them to cover the cost of production that is associated to it. And whenever we are talking about supply, there are numerous factors that govern it besides the price and the quantity that we have already said. So in this case, you would have a linearly increasing curve where price and quantity are directly related, not inversely related as in the case of demand. Now, with the supply, what are the additional factors that affect it? Definitely taxes. If there are higher taxes, I would cut down my supply because there would be lesser demand in the market that would be seen. And moreover, my cost of production would increase and I would not like to have a higher cost that I have to bear. The next is subsidies. If government is providing subsidies, what would happen is there would be more market, more room for production and my supply would increase. The next is technological progress. With technological advancement, while I was able to produce one commodity, now I am able to produce 10 such commodities and my production would increase, so technological enhancements would definitely increase your supply. Similarly, price and profitability go hand in hand. So what happens is, I have two commodities. Let's say one is corn oil and other is groundnut oil or peanut oil that is there in the market. What would happen if the market price for the corn oil falls and the market price for the peanut oil rises? I, as a supplier, would be interested to supply more of the peanut oil because there is a more room for the quantity that would be brought into the market. And that's where we understand that price and profitability are very, very important criteria, because that commodity is being sold at a higher price now. I have more profit margins with me, and I would be more interested to get into a business where I am getting more profit, and therefore I would shift from corn oil to a peanut oil industry. And that's how we understand the supply phenomena. Time is another important criteria to determine the supply. If I'm taking less time to produce my output, definitely I can increase my supply and I would have more production that would be seen. Weather is another important factor that affects it, specifically when we are talking about agricultural production. If the weather was fine, I have more production with me and I can meet the supply. However, if the weather is not good, vice versa would lead it. The cost of production, that's the paramount that we have already talked about. Now, similar to the demand, we have contraction and expansion of the supply. Now, price would rise as there is increase or expansion in the quantity which is supplied into the market, and similarly the price would decrease if there is a contraction in the quantity supplied. So if my quantity supplied reduces, my price would definitely fall down. A very good example is, you have a clearing sale for the clothings that happen in the autumn season for the summer clothes. Now what happens during the summer months? The companies are trying to make maximum profit out of it. So what happens during that period is, you have a very high demand. So when you have high demand, you have higher prices that are there, and with this higher prices you are trying to capture most of the market, but a lot of inventory remains unsold. So what you would do during the autumn months is, you would put up a clearing sale, and during this clearing sale, when there was an excess supply that was put up in your stocks, you are trying to clear those stocks now. So what you are trying to do is, with that you are trying to reduce your price so that you are able to clear off all the existing stock that is pending with you. And this is one of the basic ideas which we discuss under a market equilibrium approach. So market equilibrium basically talks about a common region where you have a balance between the demand and the supply. If the supply is much more than the demand, what would happen is, you would be forced to decline your prices in order to clear out your inventory. But on the other hand, during the peak months, when you have higher demand, you would be increasing your price because there is a room for higher profit margins, considering the fact that people will have to buy it because there is no other choice left during this season, and definitely you can keep your margins high. So might be you might think about buying the next year's summer clothing this autumn. So that was a kind of simple explanation to understand this. So market equilibrium is a process through which we try to maintain a adjustment between the demand and the supply. Neither excess quantity demanded nor excess quantity supplied would create an equilibrium. So equilibrium can be created only and only when there is a fixed amount of demand matching the similar amount of supply that could be seen. Also, changes in the non-price factor is again very, very important phenomena that would govern the demand and the supply besides the price and the quantity, and all the other determinants that we have talked about in the demand as well as the supply would be affecting it. So here we have the most important crux of it that you might keep into mind while going to buy a product next time. Wishing you a very best. We'll continue with the next class in the next lecture.